How to get people to talk about your product. There are few better forms of marketing than word of mouth. Think about the most successful movies at the theaters. They're not necessarily the movies with the biggest marketing budgets, though that helps. Instead, they're the movies that have the biggest impact on the culture around them. When a movie is genuinely exciting, thought-provoking, and different, it gets attention. People tell their friends, and they tell their friends. This is how you get your sleeper hits. So how do you get people to talk about your online product? How do you turn that into a sleeper hit? In this presentation, we're going to find out. The product itself. The first and most important point is that the product itself needs to be effective in driving discussion. This is something that not many internet marketers understand. How many online books are there that sell essentially the same thing? How are you going to get someone to talk about a book that teaches you how to make money when that is what 500 other books released this month are doing? Now consider something like the Vivo barefoot shoes. These are the toe shoes that you might have seen some people wearing. These things look so odd that just wearing them will invite questions, comments, and discussion. And of course, there are countless articles written about them. This isn't to say that everything you sell needs to break the mold and be completely new. Instead, you need to make sure that you find some angle that makes it interesting. You can sell a book on making money, but try to find some tip in there that is different and then make that into the USP. Find some way to make your product noteworthy. Story. They say that stories are SEO for the human brain, and that couldn't be more true. We love telling and sharing stories, so much so that this practice is ingrained into our very psyche by millions of years of evolution. If you wanted to make your product worthy of discussion, then find a story/narrative that you can promote. That could be the story of how you created the product, or it could be the story of someone who used it and was highly successful. Press releases. Next, you need a press release. This outlines news of your product or service in a way that will hopefully get news coverage from other websites or papers. The key here, though, is to use the previous two tips. Too many businesses expect press releases to essentially get them free coverage and advertising. This is not how it works. Journalists are serving their readers first, and so they will only cover your announcement if it is genuinely interesting to that audience. That's where having something genuinely new and different, or a real human interest story attached, will make all the difference. Failing that, a well-orchestrated PR stunt can do the job as well. Just think carefully about how you want to present your brand. Online sales success. 10 quick-fire tips to increase online sale. Not seeing the sales you'd like to online? Seeing sales but wish they were even higher? Listen up. Here are 10 tips that can help you to see dramatic increases in your conversions. 1. Include a video advert. This is something that not many sellers do, but it can be huge. A video ad that plays on your sales page can help remind people why they are buying and ensure that they feel motivated to do so. Really show the value proposition and try to affect an emotional response. 2. Make it easy. Are there too many steps to buying on your page? This can be an easy way to put people off of making purchases. Consider that many of us have second thoughts when buying anything. Any small excuse not to buy can therefore be the nail in the coffin for your sales. Make sure this isn't an issue by making purchasing a simple matter of clicking a button. 3. Ensure a secure address. People want to see that HTTPS in the URL. If you don't have one, then make sure that you discuss this with your hosting provider. 4. Remove ads. If you have AdSense or any other form of display ads on your website, then you should make sure these are missing from your sales page. Otherwise, People might leave to buy competing products, and you'll get a few cents instead of $30 to $100. In fact, consider getting rid of all ads on your site and making all of those adverts point at your one product instead. 5. Ensure fast load times. Fast loading times are hugely important for any website, but this is especially true if you are selling a product. Make sure your website is nippy and appears in seconds, and this way you won't lose impatient visitors. 6. Remove distracting navigation elements. Consider removing your menus for your sales page. Otherwise, it's too easy for people to leave without buying. Buy now should be the one beckoning button. 7. Offer a discount. This is a simple way to make more sales, but it's an important consideration. Offering a special deal for a certain period of time is perfect for generating more sales, but you'll need to experiment with different price points to find that sweet spot. 8. Offer money back. This is important to gain the trust of your audience. Keep in mind that very few people will actually take you up on the guarantee, but having it there will convince them to make the sale. 9. Persuasion. Think about everything that happens prior to your audience landing on your sales page or e-commerce store. How have you primed them to buy? Are they in the right mindset? Your sales process begins with the first interaction with your brand, be that on your homepage or through social media. 10. Ask your audience. Stuck trying to generate more sales? Just ask your audience what they want to see. This is a hugely beneficial strategy as it ensures you are optimizing your products and sales process for the very people you are selling to. 5 copywriting tips to convert more visitors into customers. Few businesses fully recognize the power of good writing. A well-written sales script is very often the difference between a conversion rate of 10% and a conversion rate of 0.0001%. This is your opportunity to convince people to buy from you, to explain to them why your product or service matters, and to hold their attention. How do you do it? Here are 5 strategies that make a big difference. Be clear and to the point. Vantage Media uses innovative thought leadership and a collaborative attitude to push forward into new frontiers. We provide cloud-based solutions for small to medium businesses that want to see real change in their strategy and mindset. What's wrong with this opening? Simple. It doesn't tell the audience what they need to know. Specifically, what your business does and why they should care. Too often we get caught up trying to sound professional or show off and fill our content with jargon and nonsense. In the worst case scenarios, you can come away from a homepage none the wiser as to what the business is actually offering or what it does. Good sales copy and copywriting in general doesn't deal in flowery language, but rather communicates clearly what the business does. And it gets there quickly. Use storytelling. Storytelling is SEO for the human brain. We are hardwired to respond well to stories. They engage us and keep us reading, and they motivate, inspire, and influence us. If you want to make sure that people don't leave your sales pitch halfway through, then find ways to relate to it personally and use a narrative around it. Use split testing. A split test means creating 2 slightly different versions of your copy to see which one sells best. This way, you can test different headers, different opening lines, etc. This allows you to see what is actually working rather than be led by subjective opinions. Add social proof. Including stats, figures, and quotes can make a big difference to your sales. Not only does this back up what you're saying and give you much more credibility, but it also creates social influence. People think that this is now what everyone is doing. And when everyone is doing something, we always want to get involved right away. Find the value proposition. Most important of all is to find the value proposition. That means understanding what it is about your product that is going to drive sales. This should mean finding the emotional hook and getting your audience to imagine how their life could be better as a result of buying from you. You aren't selling a fitness book. You're selling an amazing, ripped body. You aren't selling an app that handles website design. You're selling a more beautiful, modern, and efficient website. You're selling the dream of a successful business. You need to understand this because it is ultimately emotion that drives us, not logic. So get your audience excited for the future you are offering. Few businesses fully recognize the power of good writing. A well-written sales script is very often the difference between a conversion rate of 10% and a conversion rate of 0.0001%. This is your opportunity to convince people to buy from you, to explain to them why your product or service matters, and to hold their attention. How do you do it? Here are 5 strategies that make a big difference. Be clear and to the point. Vantage Media uses innovative thought leadership and a collaborative attitude to push forward into new frontiers. We provide cloud-based solutions for small to medium businesses that want to see real change in their strategy and mindset. What's wrong with this opening? Simple. It doesn't tell the audience what they need to know. Specifically, what your business does and why they should care. How to use webinars to boost online sales. Webinars are a powerful tool to create sales online, and they are often considered a key component in many sales funnels. A webinar is essentially a presentation that teaches your audience something. This can be a presentation in which you directly communicate with your audience and explain a topic, or show them how to do something. Common topics for webinars include discussions on how to make money online, discussions on how to use specific tools, or tips on how to build confidence. The real power of the webinar is that it increases engagement. People who like your content might read your blog posts, but this is a very passive activity that doesn't require any commitment on their part. However, a webinar requires your audience to arrive at a certain time and then to listen to a presentation that is ostensibly live. This makes them feel like they're discussing directly with you as a creator, and it requires them to invest their time and effort into hearing what you have to say. In short, it helps to take them from being a cold or warm lead to a very hot one, and it gives you the opportunity to push your product or service in a more convincing and powerful manner than you otherwise could. So that's the why. What about the how? The first step is to choose your webinar topic. Ideally, this should be something with a very clear value proposition and a very clear goal. That is to say that you should be quite specific in what you teach, a single skill or concept, and that said lesson should have direct applicability to the audience's lives. You want something that will demonstrably make their lives better, and that will give people a good reason to show up. Next, you need to identify the right platform. This is what you will use to stream live, and there are pros and cons to each option. The 2 we recommend are GoToWebinar and EasyWebinar. While you can use tools like Zoom that are not explicitly intended for this use, they don't have as many features that are as directly relevant to what we're trying to do. Also important is to have slides prepared and a script. This way, you can ensure that your webinar runs smoothly and that you can provide genuine information. Think of this like a tester. People are going to use this experience to judge the products or services you are trying to sell. If they don't learn anything or it isn't useful, then they will assume that your products or services won't be good either. Don't let that happen. Of course, there is the option to simply play a prepared presentation. This isn't recommended, however, as it can look cheap if you get discovered. Ultimately, the best business models are the ones that involve genuinely new and exciting information, amazing value, and transparent honesty. This builds long-term customers and trust and is by far the best way to build your business. How to use giveaways to boost your online sales. If you want to make more money, then you need to give more away for free. This sounds contradictory, right? Sure, I get that. But in fact, this is one of the truest principles of selling, and it's for very good reason. In this presentation, we're going to discuss why that is. A free taste. Too many sellers make the mistake of thinking that people will buy their products because they tell them to. But here's the thing. You're not a particularly objective source of information. You can write the most compelling and persuasive sales pitch in the universe, but at the end of the day, it will always be compromised because it came from you. Your audience knows that you're biased and you have a horse in this race. Think about it. If someone came up to you and told you that they had the best watch in the world, that was more objectively beautiful than any other watch, and would keep the time perfectly, would you buy from them? Chances are you'd assume they were making it up. But if they were to let you keep the watch for a week, and you found that it really did change the way people looked at you, you might consider buying it. In other words, the proof is in the pudding. There's nothing like trying a product or service for yourself. So if you really want to convince people to buy from you, giving something away for free is the perfect way to demonstrate to them just how much value you're able to provide. Now they don't have to take your word for it. Now they can experience that value for themselves. This is a huge difference. Luring them in. The other reason that giving away something for free is powerful is that it helps you to draw more people in. This is why competitions are so popular, even when most people don't get anything. If you have something to give away for free, then you will instantly give people a reason to visit your website. That's what will draw them in. And then while they're there, you can use the opportunity to market other things to them. The best example of this, of course, is a lead magnet. This is a freebie that you give away in exchange for an email address. You use this to acquire email addresses, and then you sell to them. A sense of obligation. The other reason that freebies work so well is that they create goodwill. When you give something away for free, people will feel obligated to you. You did them a solid, and now they want to do the same thing back. In fact, studies suggest that we are driven by the desire to give something back that is twice the value of what we received, thereby paying off the social debt. This is why many store owners in the Middle East will begin their negotiations by offering you a nice cup of tea and giving your kids a free gift. Learn from them. How to overcome the fear of selling. It's a stranger thing, but a lot of us don't like asking for money for our time. Life has conditioned us to believe that altruism is the highest calling, and that we should be more than happy to provide our time, our work, and our creativity for free. It therefore comes extremely unnaturally when we try to sell something for cash. And that's especially true for those of us who have perhaps been providing free information via a website or a blog for years. How do you transition to the point where you're charging for your time and effort? Won't your audience turn against you? And is your product really worth that much? While giving things away for free is a nice idea, it's a pretty useless business model as it goes. In order to make a living doing what you love, you need to be willing to charge, and that means overcoming the fear of selling. Here's what you need to do. First, buy. Spend time in the shoes of your audience by buying the products that you are competing with. See what they are offering and see what it feels like. Do you feel like you got good value? And importantly, is this the kind of value you can offer? If the answer is yes, and if that seller is still popular, then chances are that you can charge for what you're doing too. You can also make yourself feel better about this by making sure you put your all into that project. Pull out all the stops to make this something truly great. And that way, you can sell with absolute confidence that your audience will be happy with what they receive. Another important step is to run a trial of sorts. This is something that a lot of people never consider, which is a big mistake seeing as sales platforms have a habit of going wrong. If you have a product or a service and you spend months generating pre-orders, you risk a huge catastrophe if those orders aren't automatically fulfilled once your product is set to live. To make sure this doesn't happen, have a test run and try buying from yourself or getting friends and family to do so. This way, you can see that everything is running smoothly, so at least you won't need to worry about that. If you are still anxious, you can also try offering a smaller product to begin with. That might mean selling a very small report or training program for $10 instead of selling an ebook or online course for $90. This is a great way to get your feet wet and to get a feel for selling. Once you see how positive the reaction is, you'll have no qualms about working on your next, bigger, follow-up project. Finally, if you still have the fear, consider accepting pre-orders for an unfinished product. This is excellent as it forces you to build the product and try. Wait for a moment of courage, announce that you are taking pre-orders, and then go for it. Content is king. 5 reasons you need to be producing more content. Content is what makes the web go round. You'll hear this a lot in marketing circles, but that doesn't make it any less true. Think about it. The internet is nothing if not a web of content. It is writing, it is video, and it is sound. All of that is content. If you don't have content then, you can't possibly stand out and stay afloat. You'll be drowned out by the noise. And if it's not enough simply to have content, it needs to be content that has high volume and high value. You need lots of excellent content. Here's why. Brand awareness. Studies show that people will only usually buy on the 7th or 8th exposure to a brand. It's by this point that they recognize the brand and trust it well enough to consider investing money. If you post regular content to your site or to social media, then you create lots of opportunities for people to be exposed to your brand and your message. Each one of those builds up and creates a greater likelihood that they will consider buying from you. SEO. Content is important for SEO. This is something that is overlooked too often. While there are countless strategies for increasing the search traffic that comes to your site, targeting keywords, building links, etc., the single most important and effective strategy is to add lots of content to your site. This is how the biggest and most successful brands on the web succeed. If you have hundreds of new articles on your site every month, you create countless opportunities to win at the SERPs and to bring in long-tail traffic. Eventually, you will succeed through sheer force. Return customers. People will come back to your site regularly if you give them a good reason to do so. If you post the odd article every few months, then people will quickly forget about you. But if there are lots of fascinating new posts every single day, then people might start to read your site each morning, or at least several times a week. Think about the websites that you visit on a regular basis yourself. They are all likely to be sites that provide you with an incentive to keep coming back. Brand loyalty and trust. The other reason to keep posting content is to develop your relationship with your audience and to build trust. Trust is a strange thing in that it very largely comes from familiarity and exposure. Simply seeing more of you ensures that your audience knows you better, likes you more, and feels more comfortable buying from you. This is as simple as posting regularly. Direct sales. Finally, keep in mind that each post can generate direct revenue from ads, or even by selling your products. If you include a reference to your product and a link in each post, they will then generate profit. You are now in a situation where each post pays for itself. meaning that there is no reason not to keep writing more of them. 6 tweaks you can make to your site to boost sales. What makes the difference between a successful online product and an unsuccessful one? A lot of presentations will try to tell you there is a one secret trick or some key strategy. But the truth is that a successful sales page is the sum of its parts. Your success comes from countless small design decisions, aspects of your copywriting, your marketing, your audience, the pricing, and the advertising campaign. There is not one thing you can change, but rather thousands of things. Some of these things are very simply alterations you can make to your page itself. And while these might not turn you into an overnight sensation, they can certainly help you to improve your conversion rate and increase profits. So here are 6 tweaks to consider making right now. 1. Increase load times. A slow-loading site does a few things. First, it makes your site seem less reliable and less professional. This can make people less comfortable about buying from you. Secondly, it means your audience has to wait longer, which in turn means that they will very often leave before your page is done loading. Speeding up your site, which can be as simple as installing a new plugin, can thus help you make a lot more sales. 2. Change your font. The font on your site is a key factor that often goes overlooked. Not only does this contribute to the overall design of your site and the way it makes your audience feel, but it also determines how readable your content is. People don't like squinting. 3. Remove navigation elements. If you have a menu on your sales page, then you are inviting your audience to leave. Remove it. 4. Add a video. Video is underutilized when it comes to making sales. The goal of a good video is to help people understand the value proposition of your site and to understand what you're offering. You can even set this to autoplay. 5. Use a better image. One of the biggest challenges of trying to sell something online is that your audience can't hold the product in their hands. That means they can't feel the weight or the premium materials. Your goal is therefore to convey that through your sales page by choosing the right image. If your product listing currently has a small, grainy image of what you're selling, then you should consider changing that. 6. Offer a money-back guarantee. This is a simple line you can add to your sales pitch that makes all the difference. That's because it will help people to overcome any sense of uncertainty when buying from you. They will now know that if they don't like what they're buying, they can get their cash back, no questions asked. The thing to realize as the seller is that very few buyers ever ask for a refund. That means there is no reason not to use this strategy, and every reason that you should. 5 ways to boost sales using Instagram stories. Instagram is an extremely powerful tool for marketers and anyone selling a product. The key reason for this is that Instagram is one of the best options for selling the value proposition. The highly visual nature of Instagram makes it perfect for conveying not only information, but also feelings and emotions. You can, in short, use Instagram to make your products look and feel amazing. And this is key to success when it comes to selling. Instagram stories take this one step further by letting you speak with your audience in a more interactive manner. Here are some ways you can use stories to make more sales. Be sparing. The first tip for boosting sales using Instagram stories might come as a surprise. This is to be sparing with your use of them. The danger is that if you try to use stories too frequently and thus end up neutering some of their most powerful properties. Instagram stories have the huge benefit of being promoted specifically by Instagram. They are placed right at the top of the page when you load your home feed, and they even notify users when you post a new one. But that latter feature is only present if you don't post hundreds every 2 minutes. So wait until you really have something to say. Build rapport. Stories are fantastic for building a rapport with your audience and helping them to feel as though they know you and your business. This is huge, seeing as that familiarity builds trust. And when your audience trusts you, they are far more likely to buy from you. Run polls. A great way to generate content and to communicate with your audience with this in mind is to run polls. You can survey your audience, and this way they feel like they are engaging in conversation with you. That engagement translates to increased sales because they are paying your brand more attention. And it also means your audience will build that sense of recognition we discussed. Behind the veil. Stories are a great way to share information that you don't necessarily want to post to your wall. If you have a post that shows you getting up in the morning, for instance, or if you have a post that shows behind the scenes, this can ruin the visual language of your main feed. This is what makes stories so effective, as they are just a short-time insight for your most invested users. Use this as a way to show behind the scenes and let people gain some more understanding of your product, service, and values. Show the value. Finally, make sure that you are using your Instagram stories to really show the value of your product or service. What is it that your product or service offers? How will it benefit people and make their lives better than they were previously? By demonstrating the value, you can make sure that you build that emotion that leads to a sale. Add a link by swiping up, and you'll see your sales skyrocket. 5 easy upgrades you can offer customers to maximize your profits. Selling online can be a challenge, and this is something that many business owners must wrestle with on a regular basis. If you can convince people to buy from you online, then you can potentially drive a steady stream of sales that will be nearly entirely automated. This allows you to earn a passive income and make money while you sleep and relax. Or it can give you the funds you need to funnel back into your business and scale at an unprecedented rate. But this shouldn't be the end goal. Selling once is impressive, but selling twice or selling more is even better. What you may not realize is that getting someone to buy from you is the hard part. The biggest barrier is opening the wallet and entering the details. If you get your visitor to that point, then you've been highly successful. But then why stop there? It will now be considerably easier to convince your audience to take the next step and buy again, so make sure you don't miss that opportunity. Here's how you can do just that by offering upgrades and upsells. Premium Edition. One option is to offer a premium edition or a special edition. People love buying the most high-quality version of something, and they hate knowing that there is a more premium option available. Think about it. If you just convince someone to buy a product for $50, why wouldn't they pay an extra $10 to then upgrade that to the ultimate edition? This works great for physical products, but it can also be very effective with digital products. Your ebook could come with a more attractive cover, extra pages, and supplementary information, for example. Support. Offering support is a great way to add value, especially if your product is an app or software solution. Even for information products, though, offering some kind of direct access to the author or experts can be huge. How about membership of an exclusive group on Facebook, for example? Second copy. If your product benefits from multiple items, then this is a great and very simple way to upsell. Buy 1 for $20 or 2 for $30. It's a no-brainer. Even for digital products, this can work well if you have DRM. Just offer the second download as a gift. Subscription. Likewise, if your product is something that benefits from recurring orders or ongoing support, then you can also offer subscriptions. And if you already offer subscriptions, then how about selling a longer subscription for even more money? Money off the next product. Finally, one of the oldest tricks in the book is to offer money off the next purchase. This is great because it secures the next sale before you even have something to offer. It helps to build loyalty and trust with your audience and gives the buyer flexibility in how they redeem their offer. It's like a loyalty point system.